My name is Ellinwood. I graduated in 2015. I was an English major, creative writing major, and a media studies minor in the comm department. While I was at DePauw, I was involved in a lot of different things. I was in a fraternity where I was the vice president for a while. I was on the first varsity men's lacrosse team. I worked for the admissions department. I worked for the president at a point. So I was involved in a lot of different things, and I really liked trying to get involved in as much as I could. But English was definitely the reason that I was here. I didn't show up on campus wanting to be an English major. I really didn't know what I wanted to do. I thought I was going to be a geology major for a little while. And then when it came down to it, I found that I had the most fun and I enjoyed my time the most when I was in English classes. I really found professors that I connected well with, people that I could take time after time after time. And whatever the subject was, I found myself enjoying the time in the classroom because of the human element behind it. And that's what really drew me to the English major, was just the idea that I could sit in class and I could have a conversation and I could engage with somebody else instead of, So one of my favorite memories of an English class at DePauw was I was taking a nonfiction writing workshop with Professor Schwips, who is one of my favorite professors I've ever had. And we were working and we had to do an interview. And he said, you cannot do the interview with anybody related to DePauw. It can't be a friend of yours, it can't be a professor, it can't be anybody who works here. You have to go into the community and find somebody to interview and write about them. And he told us about all these kind of out-of-the-box ones that he'd seen in the past. And I was laboring over it for days and days and days. And finally I was just driving around Greencastle and out in the back roads. And I remember seeing a sign for a butcher shop, a custom butcher shop. And I called the place and I was like, hey, is there anybody there that I could talk to? This is something I don't really know about. And fast forward 3 days later, and I'm standing on the kill floor of a butcher shop watching them butcher a cattle with my iPhone out, interviewing a man as he's doing this work. And it was one of the most surreal experiences of my life, where I just remember being why am I doing this? This is the most ridiculous scenario I could possibly be in. And I'm doing this for this weird English assignment that Professor Schwips assigned. And it ended up being one of the best things I've ever written, and one of my favorite things I've ever written, and one of my favorite stories to tell students. But it was just this, professor really pushing me to think beyond kind of the easy answer to the prompt, and really trying to get creative with it. And it was something I never would have imagined myself doing. And it's just something that will always stand out in my memory as a DePauw English major. So now I'm an English teacher at a high school in New Hampshire, a private high school called Derryfield. This is my 4th year teaching. I was at a boarding school up in Maine for a little while. I also teach at a school called St. Paul's in Concord, New Hampshire in the summers. So I teach English during the regular school year, right now 9th and 11th grades. And then in the summer I teach a media class that deals with kind of everything media, whether that's media literacy or content creation. And I'm really loving what I'm doing. I think it's a ton of fun working with teenagers, and I feel like I'm really able to be myself in my English classes when I'm teaching, because I always felt like I was able to be myself when I was a student at DePauw in my English classes, and so I've been able to continue that. I'm also currently in a graduate program I just started at Dartmouth College. It's a Master's of Arts in Liberal Studies, and so it's an interdisciplinary master's degree. I'm working on a cultural studies track. And kind of focusing on an intersection of media and culture. So really working to kind of diversify the things that I can teach. So it's not an education program, but it's really trying to get more content that I can teach in.